TV.
Right, okay.
So up in that corner, we're now live.
Okay.
Live to the nation. I'll have a little flick through stuff and see if we are actually live.
Okay.
There will obviously be thousands of people watching right now. So
yeah, millions.
But the Facebook's working. The Facebook.
So many people.
YouTube a few seconds. To be fair, there might be a couple on Facebook. Get some rogue questions from people at the gym. I think.
Funny.
Looking pretty good. Yeah, good stuff. All right. Well, thank you very much for jumping on, Ita.
That's all right. Thanks for having me. I feel like a massive imposter right now.
It feels well weird just not talking at the gym, but always good to get it on camera. So obviously, people watching might not know who you are. They might not also be people from CrossFit Colchester, which is how we know each other, of course. Do you want to just say hello? Tell us who you are.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Ita. I go to CrossFit Colchester. I've been there, I think, about 2.5, 3 years. Yeah.
I thought it was way longer than that.
Oh, I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah.
A bad thing.
I mean, the fact that you do what you do in only a couple of years. Fair?
I don't do anything.
Well,
so I'm going massively red now.
So we got you on because you are obviously part of the Hybrid Athlete Club. You've been on program with me for quite a while now.
Yeah, since April. I think.
April. And we kicked off doing weightlifting, didn't we? And then we pivoted over to some Hyrox stuff more recently because you decided you were going to go to Madrid and do a Hyrox on your own, which we both know was very scary. Oddly, you are then doing a pairs Hyrox afterwards, which I figured you'd do pairs first because you're only doing like 2/3 of the work, and then you would go individual. But because you're an absolute hero, you just went solo first.
No, there's like a story to it. So.
Oh, okay, go on.
Because I'm doing the pairs with Hannah Greenwood from CrossFit Colchester, and she's epic and amazing. I just thought, oh my God, I need to be able to do it, and I don't want to sort of let her down, and I want to be able to do my best. So I thought if I did an individual one first, then I would know what I needed to kind of work on and how I could get better. But there was no individual comps in the UK. They'd all sold out at that point.
I see how it is.
Yeah.
That makes sense now. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thought it would be very useful for people that have also either not done a Hyrox or signed up for one to get you on and just have a little chat through what it was like training for one. And then obviously, as I said, you've got the Hyrox that you've just done that you've taken some learnings from. We'll have a little look at your times from your stations. And then you've got the like unique chance of having another crack in November. Did you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
So having a look at like what you learn, what you're going to use, and then we've obviously got a couple of months now programming wise that we can tweak things, take what we learned from Madrid into, albeit a pairs version, but into London. And we'll just chat through that.
Yep.
So just nice and chill. It feels very weird doing this online as opposed to in person, but there we go. So I guess let's start with a bit of background because you have got I'm going to say, diverse sporting background. And yes, I'm referring to the dancing over CrossFit, which is slightly different, although we dance barbells, right? But slightly different. Do you want to chat about, like, are you an ex-pro track runner, or are you just someone that loves a bit of PE every now and then? What's your PE background?
So I used to run for Essex, and I used to dance like professionally, and then I stopped, and I had maybe about 8 or 9 years where I didn't do any PE whatsoever. And then a good friend of mine said it would be a good idea to come and try CrossFit. So I got back into running and got into CrossFit.
What was the hiatus for? Did you get injured?
No, I just focused on my career, and I didn't think that I could do both. And I didn't feel like I had any time, and I hadn't really learned that you created your own time at that point.
Didn't feel like you didn't have any time, or did you not actually have any time? And then you
Maybe
like me and pretend that you've got all the time in the world.
a bit of both, maybe, because now we train really early in the morning, don't we? So we train at sort of 6, and that was just never an option for me. I didn't even know you could do things like that before I joined CrossFit. So
I didn't know people did things like that before I started CrossFit, to be fair. 6 a.m. training is not the one. Kudos to anyone that gets out of bed at 5 to put himself in a deep hole.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had go on track stuff. What did you do? Remind me.
So I just ran for Essex. So I used to kind of do sprinting and
400,
sort of
800?
100, 200s.
Oh, actual sprinting.
Yeah.
Go on. What's your best 100 meters?
Oh God, no, I'm not saying. No way. Because it's definitely not that now.
Is it less than 16 seconds?
Yeah.
Is it less than 14?
No.
All right. Good. How old were you when you did this? How old were you when you did this?
So I did it up until I was like 19.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
College? Yeah.
Uni, yeah.
When you went to uni, did you do sports at uni?
Just a bit of running. So I kind of got into long distance running.
Okay.
Half marathons, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
5, 10Ks. Yeah, it was easier to do that at uni than the sprinting, I think.
Yeah. So, where did you go to uni?
Just to Essex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Have they got a track team?
They do now, but they didn't when I was there. But they do now.
So you've been sporting for a while.
Yeah.
Obviously different types, but obviously we're talking Hyrox mainly here, which is a good chunk of running. So we are very used to running, and we know you are very good at running, given the majority of your better times in the Hyrox were the first few runs, which we'll come on to later.
Didn't feel like it at the time, but thanks.
So we had a bit of a hiatus, and then you found CrossFit.
Yeah.
When did you start? How did you find it at the start? Because it's obviously very different from running, right? I'm from a running background and got humbled very fast.
Yeah, I got really humbled, and I'm quite like a shy person. I'm quite nervous, so I was really scared. And I think I'm still scared when I walk into the gym, but everyone's so nice, so it's easier now. But it just looked so hard, a lot of the movements, and I think I just thought, right, I want to give it a go, and I want to try and be able to do them. Yeah, so that's what I on.
And that was 2.5, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your first workout was?
Oh, burpees, and it was with you, and it was just a million burpees.
Which should be all right, coming from a running background.
No.
Was it like snatch and something else?
It was like 100 burpees on the trial.
I mean, it doesn't really matter what your background is, right? 100 burpees is fun introduction to anything. So CrossFit almost predominantly, right, for the last few years.
Yeah.
How's that journey been? How have you found it? What's the vibes been like? Have you got mega hooked on it? Is it something that you just dabble in? Talk me through like a typical training week in Ita's life.
Well, I did just dabble for ages, and I had PT and still do have PT with Hannah Greenwood, and that kept me coming to the gym because I was like quite shy and quite nervous. I always panicked, but if I had PT every 2 weeks or every week, I knew I'd have to turn up. I knew I'd have to come in, and then I would learn things and I'd be able to try them in the workout, so it wouldn't be too intimidating. And then I think maybe back in September of last year, I said to Hannah that I wanted to really try, and I wanted to come in and give it my best. So we increased my PT, and I increased the number of sessions that I came to at CrossFit. So rather than it kind of being maybe 2 or 3 a week. I think I started coming to like 4 or 5 and picking the things that I wasn't good at to practice. So focusing on a lot of gymnastics.
Is that what you mean? So you said then you wanted to really try. There was like a bit of a switch. Is that what you mean? Just I'm gonna focus on the bits. I really want to try and get better at certain things.
Yeah, I think I just really wanted to see what I could do. I'd been too scared to do any competitions. So I had never done a CrossFit competition or anything like that. And I think I just wanted to like give it my best, basically.
Nice. Did you competed in track, right?
Yeah.
Did it just did CrossFit just feel different? Like what about the competitive element was it that was different from back in the track days? Or was it just because you were 19 and everything's YOLO when you're that age?
Yeah, and I think everyone was just so good at CrossFit. It felt as though everyone was just really, really good.
It's interesting, isn't it? Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say I just didn't think I was very good. So it was hard.
I guess when you're running, you are the only like metric of comparison is your times, isn't it? Or like distance, I guess, if you're going ultra. Whereas if you walk into a CrossFit gym, there's a million different movements. And it's like you've instantly got 1,000 different ways of comparing yourself to something. Like, are you moving the same way? Can you lift the same weight? Can you do as many reps? Can you go as fast?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, as you say, it can be super at any level as well, which is a pain in the bum as well. It doesn't matter if you're first in the door or you've been doing it for 10 years. There's so many levels now and so many ways of comparing. So we were doing CrossFit for a few years. You've got yourself in a position where you've got some PT, starting to potentially do some competitions.
Yeah.
How did we land on Hyrox? We're obviously skipping a few steps here, but how did we land on doing a Hyrox?
Because I think I started following it on social media and I'd seen, I think you did one last year at the gym.
Yeah.
And I saw that it was like fitness racing. And I thought, that might play to my sort of strengths a little bit. And it might be something like really good for me to try. And so I thought I would give it a go. I had a little look at what it was and the kind of workouts that were involved. And it looked really hard. And I just thought, I'm going to try it.
Yeah, well done. Did you said the one at the gym, did you do the one at the gym when they came over?
No, I didn't do that one. I did one earlier on this year in Cambridge, like a taster day at the British Athletics Club.
So for anyone watching that isn't part of CrossFit Colchester, we had a couple of gents from Hyrox come and do, I think, kind of what you're saying at Cambridge. It was almost like a taster session, I guess, or like a bit of an overview session. So they talked about Hyrox, what it is, the format, and then we ran. It must have been probably like a quarter of a Hyrox. So we did a 1K run, and then some burpees, some lunges, some push-ups, some rowing, and wall balls. It was a set workout. Did it in waves. Was that the similar thing you did in Cambridge?
Yeah, I think apart from we had in total 4K of running, and all of the movements.
Was yours indoors?
No, it's outdoors. So it's actually on a track, running track.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yes, that was good.
I guess that would be perfect, right? If you're thinking like the setup of a Hyrox being in the arena, which will obviously come to later, is an absolute sweat box. If you can do it on a track and it's not raining, it'll probably be a little bit nicer, right?
Yeah.
So you did that, sort of saw the one at the gym, then you must have signed up not long after that. So that wasn't too long ago, was it?
Yeah, so I think I signed up in May.
Yeah.
Signed up in May.
Did you sign up for the pairs and then the individual, or the other way around?
Yeah.
Pairs and then the individual.
Yeah.
So it was full on, oh no, I'm doing a Hyrox pairs. I need to make sure I can do this.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm doing a Hyrox pairs with Hannah.
again, for context, anyone not at CrossFit Colchester, Hannah Greenwood's one of the coaches at CrossFit Colchester and is ridiculously fit.
Yeah.
Especially at body weight movements, aka gymnastics. And then she's been bub fitted up for the last however many months and is now getting really good at ergs and running.
Yeah.
So fair enough. You're doing it with somebody that's super fit. I'll come back to this later, but I'm in a similar position now doing it with Shane. So I get the slight intimidating feeling of, you know, probably going to have to hold on for dear life for the best part of an hour and a half. So I'm with you there. But yeah, kudos to you. So you signed up to the race and then we were doing a bit of PT weightlifting.
Yep.
We obviously talked a lot about what you were doing and the fact you're doing a Hyrox. And then we started you on a Hyrox program. You've been doing that for 2 and a bit months, 3 months?
Yeah, almost 3 months.
What's that look like? What? How have you found it? Because obviously a lot of the sessions, as we spoke about earlier off there, a lot of the stuff you've been doing has been on your own, involved getting out lots of kit, which, as you said, not super confident, but that's had a big impact as well.
Yeah. So I think for anyone sort of listening, it is so different to a CrossFit workout. And I think having that kind of specialist element to the program has really helped, because I wouldn't have known what to program for myself. Absolutely not. I would have known the movements, but I wouldn't know how to, you know, improve my performance or where to start. So that really helped, definitely. And I kind of felt safe in it. So it would give me some reassurance about what I was doing, and, you know, what I do on a Tuesday, what I do on a Thursday, what I would do on a Saturday, real kind of structure to my training. And yeah, you know, getting the kit out, it is so different. So you do have to practice with the sled. You do have to have the turf to kind of push it on. People do sort of look at you and think, what are you doing? And I just remember kind of getting the sled out and thinking, just put your head down, try not to bang the sled so it makes a noise. 7 a.m. And then you're kind of whizzing past the door, pushing this really massive thing, and people are like, "Are you mad?" But it was, so that's been really good. I think that's massively improved my confidence, just doing the sled.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate that we've got a big old roll of turf now that we can use out the back with a sled. So unlike most people, we've got access to kind of everything that you would need to train for a house, which is perfect. There are obviously ways of training stuff like sled without one, but the fact that you've had one, you kind of knew what to expect. We could play around with the weight. The hardest thing with the sled is it is really dependent on what it's running on. Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever tried to use that sled on the concrete, but
yeah, Hannah and I tried.
It can be an empty sled and it just doesn't move. Whereas on the turf, you can obviously load it up a little bit, which does help. Yeah. So yeah, you've been on program for a couple of months now, and we obviously knew you could run, right? So that, well, yeah, I guess how did if we chop Hyrox down the middle, so running and then all the workout sessions, were you super confident in the running stuff, or what was it?
I thought I was, but it's like such a different type of running, because you're running under fatigue, and it's really hard to push yourself. And when you know that you've kind of got to go back and ski 1K or, you know, row 1K, it's really tough, I think, to mentally say to yourself, right, I'm going to give my all on this run. So that was new for me. I'm kind of used to being a bit of a lazy runner and making it as easy as I possibly can. So when I think there were a couple of times you gave me 6, 8 or 10 lots of 800 meters to kind of bust out.
Yeah,
they were hard. Really good, really satisfying, but mentally hard to run, you know, 8 or 10 lots of 800 meters as best you could with a minute rest or 90 seconds rest. Hard.
Yeah, I think coming from a CrossFit background, we obviously have a lot of variety in training, but very rarely, I say this on the 1 week that there is actually running intervals on the programming for the first time in I don't know how long, but we very rarely just do something like some 800 meter repeats or some 400-meter efforts with nothing in between. Like we might do running within a workout, but very rarely is it just running. Obviously you had a bit of track experience, but it sounds like it was a while since again you had that sort of structure.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just kind of giving your all with the run. That was what I struggled on. I still struggle on it now, and I struggled on it in Madrid. So I know I can run, but I struggle to try my best.
Go on, what do you mean by that?
So as I say, I'm kind of used to having a nice little time. So if you give me a couple of times, you've set me 50 minutes to go out for a run or an hour, and do what you can in that 50 minutes or that hour. Kind of do like, I don't know, 8.5, 9, 10K. Lovely little time. But then, you know, as I say, busting out 1K, maybe on a sprint.
Okay. So it's more the like absolutely send it.
Yeah.
The heart rate's going through the roof feeling.
Yeah, mentally.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm going to send it. Can I send it? Should I send it? Oh, I'm not going to send it. That's what happens.
Is that you expecting something of yourself whilst you're doing it, or?
Yeah, maybe. And I think that's the other thing with Hyrox that I've learned. I think I first thought I couldn't do it. Then I thought I could do it. Then I thought, oh, I could actually do it, and maybe I could do it quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to kind of readjust my expectations pretty quickly when I realised it was difficult.
So, yeah, we will. I'll circle back to this because it's quite a good segue onto like time. Sorry, not time. Your target and then the time that you got. But we obviously set you a bit of a target, didn't we, for the race?
Yeah.
But that was a bit of a guessing game. Obviously, we had the calculator then, which we'll come back to as well. But it was your first Hyrox, so there's always going to be a bit of learning in that sense, and a bit of anything can happen, right? First time in a massive stadium, sweaty, everything's chaotic. You decided you're going to go fly to Madrid as well, which throws in a bit of travel.
Yeah,
yeah, just make it easy for yourself. So, but training went well, right?
Yeah, training went really well, and actually, I felt the best I could have going to that event. There wasn't anything else that I felt I needed from the program that you gave me. Yeah, I felt great going into that event. I did some really good runs beforehand. I think the last 2 long runs that I did, they were really quick. I felt really comfortable. Yeah, I was the fittest I'd ever been going into that comp.
There we go. That's what I want to hear. Bee's just thrown a question in the chat, but it is about the event, but I'll ask you about it now. So is there any part of the event that you have been pleasantly surprised by, or something you thought would be tough but actually wasn't too bad? Maybe let's answer that for the training beforehand. So anything that you were pleasantly surprised by whilst we were leading up to Hyrox, or anything that you thought would be tough but actually wasn't too bad?
In the training, I had this day where I pushed the sleds at race weight, which I think is 102 or 103 kilograms. And then you set me runs in between.
Yeah.
And it broke me. That day broke me, and I cried.
I remember the messages.
Yeah, I cried to another coach as well, Tom. And then a couple of days later, got some help and pushed the sled again. And I think that really surprised me. So I owe like a thank you to Sam Joyce, because he helped with that.
Well,
and I pushed the sled, and I was like, actually, I can push it. I can do it. It just, took a couple of days and a reset to see that you can do it. And if I can push it, honestly, anyone can push it.
I mean, that sled's no joke, right? Regardless of what you're pushing it on, 102 kilos is a lot of weight. And it's not like when you're running or pushing a buggy or something like that, that sled just doesn't move. It doesn't go quickly. Although we say that, your clip from I wish we could actually play the video. Your clip from Hyrox, the sled was flying, so all the training did pay off.
I don't ever want to see that again.
Anything else? Anything else? So sled was definitely one of them. That was a big win. That session actually, as I said, lots of messages afterwards. But to see you then go back off your own back and just try it again for your own sake was pretty phenomenal. That says a lot, I think, for where you started and where you got to in that training block. Because beforehand, I feel like you'd have tried it. That was way too hard. I'm not going to do it. Whereas by the end, you were like, I tried it. It was really flipping hard, but I'm having it. I'm going back and I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, and because there wasn't a choice really. Like I wasn't going to pull out of the event, so I had to push it. That was it. Like I had to push it.
That's good. Well done. Kudos. So we got you, as you said, like we were primed and ready. I feel like the last couple of weeks, things just started clicking with the programming. Like your running was getting better, your paces were getting more consistent. I think even just like the way you were talking about your sessions afterwards, your intervals on the ski, like that was one thing we struggled with for quite a while. And then all of a sudden, you're absolutely smashing out repeats on a ski erg, like they're just morning breakfast and we're ready for the day.
But I do have to thank Hannah and Bubba for that though. And that's what I'd say to people, if they're going to do a Hyrox, ask for help.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, come to someone like you for a program, ask people who are good at stuff. You know, Bubba's fantastic on the ergs. So he spent some time helping me and telling me and shouting at me and saying, this, you've got to do this. This is what you're not doing. You can do it by yourself, but it's pretty lonely. And why would you not use other people's research?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. And I think so we can go into a bit more detail about programming later on, but with the way we structured your program, because you were doing the pairs one, we had pairs workouts kind of throughout, didn't we?
Yeah.
So you had an opportunity to rope people in, but actually, obviously the guys at CrossFit Colchester are phenomenal anyway. So you just had a ton of people keen to jump on and send on a ski erg for a bit or do some running intervals as well. So yeah, it must, especially for those sessions, like you say, where you aren't sure whether you can hit a pace or you aren't sure if you're going to be able to get through all the ski erg intervals or it's a really long EMOM. Like how handy is it to have some people, even if they do some of it with you, just to drag you through it?
Yeah.
T has asked top 3 tips. I feel like that would be one of them, is find yourself some friends that can do it with you. And to be fair, I think it doesn't even need to be that they do it with you in person. Just someone else knowing that you're doing the same sort of session and you can play off them before or afterwards would be just as helpful.
Yeah. And I do think as well, I know everybody's different, but there's absolutely no way that I could have gone and done that without your help. Like I know everyone knows how to lift a kettlebell, potentially I know everyone knows how to do a lunge and they can set their own stuff, but just the incremental approach to the event and accountability, you know, having the feedback to somebody to actually say, listen, is this okay? Is my pace okay? Oh, I'm really disappointed with this. Oh, I'm really happy with this. How do I push the sleds? You know, how many burpees is 80 meters potentially? How many burpee board jumps? Just having some help all the time. You know, someone you can literally say, who knows, because they've done Hyrox so many times, just what to do and what to say. That is invaluable. I think I wouldn't have done it. I couldn't have done it.
I think that last point's really good. And again, like a bit of a segue onto the next thing I wanted to talk about, but just reaching out to people that have done this already. There is a massive Hyrox community on Facebook. So if you don't know anyone like around you, just chuck in Hyrox on Facebook, big old UK community. And there's always people asking, like, how do I do this? What's the rules of this? That background information, I think, is like so invaluable. It's why we jumped on here, right? Because you've done a Hyrox now. We can talk about what you did the day before, the day of, the do's and don'ts, what you wish you knew if you didn't, if you did another one, or what you wish you knew before you did this one. Or have someone that has done one that is around you that can help you through the training and, like you say, let you know that your legs are going to fall off on the sled. So don't expect yourself to run your quickest run segment after the sled push or pull.
Yeah.
So let's circle back to the race then. So we're flying out to Madrid. You've taken yourself a friend with you for moral support.
Who's now traumatized.
Harriet, who is now absolutely traumatized. Yeah, I did think about sharing the text until there was some effing and blinding in there, so I won't do that. But
so funny.
So you've gone out to Madrid. We've got Harriet with us. It's the day before the event. Did you do anything in particular the day before, like mindset wise, food wise? Did you get kit out ready? Anything, any prep you did the day before?
It's going to sound really strange, but I just wanted to sleep really well that night.
Nice.
Because I've never slept before any competition that I've done, and I just thought I really want to try and sleep. So we went out. We did walk quite far. I think we did sort of 20,000 steps. And we drank
like 12 miles.
We drank quite a lot of water. But yeah, I think I slept for like 9.5 hours.
Good. Well done.
Good. It's really good for me. So
I was gonna say, is that good? Is that normal? Like, do you normally sleep that much, or
no?
That was a big no.
Yeah, that was the win. That massively helped me because I wasn't competing until 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I knew I'd have like the whole day.
The whole day, right?
Yes.
So, just for anyone that's not done a Hyrox before, did you have to do anything the day before? Did you have to go and register or anything like that?
No, they said that we could register on the day, just to get there 90 minutes before your wave time. And my wave time was 4:50 in the afternoon, so we kind of got there for like 3:20. We registered, and that's where you get your band and they write your number on your arm, and you get your chip that you put around your ankle so that they can tell all your times. And then you go into the arena and you get time to warm up, to look around, to watch other people that are competing. So yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah, go on. So let's jump to the morning then. So, because as you said, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate. Your heat was at 5:30, wasn't it? PM.
4:50. Yeah, 4:50 PM.
How did you feel throughout the day? Were you itching? Yeah. Did you go there early? Were you itchy?
Oh, I said to Harriet, I'm so nervous. I'm scared. I said it to her about
all day, right?
Yeah.
There's heat from like 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. Like, it's literally all day.
Yeah.
When did you rock up?
We got there for like 3:15 in the afternoon.
Okay, a few hours before. Just good. Like, you want to check in and have a little look around. Well, it was in a big arena, right? Same as London and Birmingham.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you turned up? Because it's busy, right?
So busy. A little bit overwhelmed. Like the atmosphere was electric, but it was a bit terrifying because it's all these people kind of busting out to fitness, and you're like, oh my god. really loud music. Right, really loud music, which is good, I get. Obviously, it's great. But it just was, I don't know what I was expecting. But it just felt, you walk in and it's all happening. It was all, people were competing already.
It is, I think it's probably one of the most unique like fitness settings I've ever been in, because when you go into the arena, like you're in it. You literally cross the running track to get into the middle, where you then have got like the shop registration, you chill out for the day. Like, you are in the middle of the chaos, which is really cool if you're a spectator. It's probably one of the best fitness spectating events I think you can go to, because you are, as I said, like bang in the middle. You can Harriet can walk around and like track you on all the stations. But when you rock up and you're in it, it is just, like you say, so overwhelming. And if you didn't know to expect that, I guess it would be a bit of a shock to the system.
It was, and I think that's when my expectations changed, and I think I messaged Hannah to say, like, I just want to finish. I just want to finish now, because I kind of got there and I realised I then had this massive kind of humbling moment of, oh my God, people are dying doing this workout. People are not finishing. People have been going sort of 2.5 hours on the board, and I just thought, okay, it's not really about a time now. I just need to finish. I don't know if I'm going to finish.
How did that feel on the day? Can you remember? Was that stressful, or was that actually, like a bit of a freeing feeling? Like, I'm just going to let go of any expectations and just soak all this up and enjoy it?
It was just like an all or nothing feeling. It was just, I've got to finish. Like, that's it. I can't expect anything else of myself, because I don't even know that I'm going to do that. So, yeah.
And you did. You did finish. You did finish. So we obviously had a little chat before you went, and because you hadn't done anything like it before, we knew you had a good amount of quality running in your legs. We were getting better and better throughout the day, but it was always like, let's just go, see what happens. We'll set ourselves a bit of a pacing strategy on some of the stations, but other we'll just kind of work them out as we go, as minimal pressure as possible, so that when we come to the doubles, we've got a bit more of a gauge. We can actually set ourselves a bit of a target. But you had a target in your head, right?
I did after the calculator, which was great. It made me love life, the calculator. I did. On the plane, I had an expectation, and it was like 1 hour 16, and then I said to myself, don't be ridiculous. I said, that's ridiculous. So I was like, 1 hour 20. That's what I wanted. And then I got into the arena and I was like, hell no.
Let's just have some fun.
No way.
So this is going to be a bit of a subtle plug, but if you haven't yet seen the Hyrox calculator on the website, hybridathleteclub.com, this is what we were talking about just a second ago. So what we did is take all of the finishing times from all of the UK events, and we averaged the time that it took for every minute from 55 minutes all the way up to a few hours, so that if you are doing a Hyrox, you can put in a time like 1 hour and 20 minutes, and you can get yourself a bit of a guide of timings for each of the stations. So we've got everything from the average 1 kilometer run time that you need to achieve, through to the ski erg, the sled push, all of your stations, and even the average time that people took in the rock zone, which is the time between the stations and the running. That could give us a bit of a gauge, I guess. How achievable was this? So for you, the run, if we were doing just running, actually pretty achievable.
But it slowly became apparent that I wasn't going to be able to.
But it's not just running, right?
It's
definitely not just running. But we could use this as a bit of a guide before we went. So, as you said, you spent a while flicking through this. These are the times actually for 1 hour and 20 minutes. Now these are for London, so we've only got the UK events in here, and it does make a difference where you do Hyrox. That is definitely worth pointing out, because stuff like the carpet's not exactly the same, the sled they use is not exactly the same, the layout's not exactly the same, and it can make quite a big difference. But again, it's a guide at the moment, and we can obviously use it for your doubles in November. So when we were going through your training, how do these times feel? Like when you were sat at home before you went, did you feel confident that these were achievable?
Oh my God, yeah. When I did this calculator on the Thursday before I went, I was so surprised. I was putting in my times, but I appreciate I was also putting in my best times, and I was kind of going through also to like work out my approximate times. But it was such a great confidence boosting tool because I couldn't believe that I'd actually done something that would mean I was going to hit, you know, possibly 115, 120. I was like elated. And I think that's probably what I would say. Don't have too many expectations about yourself, because if it's your best time, you're not going to be able to do it under fatigue, are you? Which is what you said to me all along. But I did get a bit carried away because, you know, the calculator made it so clear about what I'd achieved.
Yeah, for sure. And if you go onto this page on the website, there's a bit of an explanation underneath about the numbers. And what is ever so slightly misleading if you only look at the numbers is that, let's just take the ski erg, for instance. So for your hour and 20 minutes, the average person it took to complete the whole race in an hour and 20 minutes, took 4 minutes and 10 seconds for the ski erg.
Yeah.
So if we say that is a 2 minute and 5 second pace on the ski, we know you can hold that for a kilometer. But what this doesn't tell you is that actually your time for the ski erg starts when you go underneath the archway into the ski erg zone. And you could have 20 meters until you actually get to your ski erg, and then you've got to start pulling. And then when you let go of the handles, you've got probably 5 or 6 meters to get to the end of the ski erg zone before you enter what's called the rock zone, which is the bit between all your stations and your running. So you could actually probably take off a good 20 seconds off that 4 minutes and 10, which would leave you with 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And all of a sudden that is quite a big difference when it comes to just a 1K ski.
Yeah.
So if you don't factor that in before the day and you're pacing yourself off of 2 minutes and 5 seconds per 500 meters, and then when you turn up, actually it takes you 20 seconds to get to the ski erg, 10 seconds to leave the ski erg zone, you've got to shave off 15 seconds of your 500 meter split time, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And that racks up, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But as we said, it is a good guide. And if you understand that, you can obviously take the numbers with a bit of a pinch of salt as well. Was there any on there that you were worried about at all? Obviously, we knew the sled was going to be heavy, right? But
yeah, maybe the burpees. Just because mentally, like, I struggle with burpees, and I knew that 80 meters of burpee board jumps would massively test me. So I think I was a bit worried about the burpees, and I was worried about the run because it is half the event. So I was worried about the consistency of my running.
Yeah, but overall, pretty confident, right?
Yeah. Just I couldn't have felt any better going into it.
So then you find yourself in the starting tunnel. Do you want to, for those that haven't done a Hyrox before, do you want to talk about what that's like?
It's really weird, isn't it? I think for us, they played The Greatest Showman music before we started. It was a countdown. They do some strange warming up. That no one's really interested in because everyone's kind of buzzing to get started. And you're just, I think there was about maybe 30 of us in our wave, I think.
Yeah.
But everybody's just electric. They just want to go. There's no kind of talking. It's serious. I think that's the difference. It got serious at that point. Yeah. So that's 2 minutes that you're standing there waiting.
Again, just for people that haven't done one, they funnel you into like a big inflatable tube, if you will, like an archway. And there's curtains behind you, and then you're kind of cut off from everything, and all you can see is the start of the running track. So every now and then you'll have like a few people running past, and then they've got a big TV, there's strobe lighting, and then all of a sudden they whack on Greatest Showman. And it is like goosebumps, right? It's just a vibe. You are hyped and ready to go. Probably too much.
Yeah, you don't know where it comes from as well. Because I'm quite a calm person. And then I was in that environment, and I was like, wow, what's happening to me? I feel hot.
You're ready to go. Heart rate's at like 150 before you've even started.
Yeah.
Then it starts. What did you tell yourself whilst you were running around on that first lap? Or were you
I had a bit of a decision to make: send it straight away or don't. And I thought, right, don't send it straight away. So I didn't. And I think I'm quite glad that I didn't, because my heart rate was jacked anyway. I was nervous anyway. So I can't imagine what it would have been like if I'd have
actually sent it.
Yeah.
You say that, but your first run was 46 seconds faster than any other run that you did. So it shows how hyped up you were, right?
To not even realise. I can just tell whoever, hopefully no one's listening, but whoever is listening, I haven't looked at my times because I'm too scared.
Well, we were chatting in the gym earlier, and you said you hadn't looked through them. I said, I promise we will go through them, just to give you, because that's a great example, right? So you were like, I'm not going to send it, but as Jamie's question there, did you find yourself trying to chase any other athletes? Was it hard to stay at a trained pace on and not race on? In your head, you were pacing that first run.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? Like, endorphins are flowing, you're hyped, Greatest Showman's just been on, epic song, you're out on the track, there's people going nuts, and you felt well in control.
Yeah.
But actually you were proper booking it. 5 minutes for your first, 5 minutes flat, 5:09 for your first kilometre.
Yeah.
It's quick.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not too bad. It's not as good as what I've done in training, but it's not too bad. Right. No, but it's not like, I don't know. I'm never going to say, oh, it's brilliant, am I?
Felt controlled though. Felt controlled. That's the main thing.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, felt controlled. I didn't try and chase anyone, because someone gave me a really good bit of advice, which was run your own race. So I thought, okay, I won't try and chase anyone. I think the thing I became aware of when we got to the sled pulls was that I actually surprised myself, because I overtook people on the sled pushes and the sled pulls, and I don't really know how that happened. But that was a massive confidence boost for me at that point, but not on the runs. I mean, there's no one to chase really, because you never see the same person twice. I don't think. I don't know about you, but I didn't see the same person twice.
So for the running, you run round a 250 meter loop. So you do 4 laps. Was it 4?
We did 2.5.
2.5 laps.
Yeah, of the stadium thing.
Which would have been 300 and something. Can't do the maths.
Yeah.
300 something meters. You're doing laps. You're starting in waves. So once you get started, once you've kind of lost the people in your wave after the first station, which is the ski erg, you kind of don't really know where you are, do you? You don't know who's in your wave. They could be on the last station. They could have just started, because by the time you've done the run and the ski erg, the next wave started as well. So there could be people absolutely booking it past you, other people that are walking, like you're kind of lost in amongst the crowd, aren't you?
Yeah, and the doubles had started before us. So there was lots of doubles kind of running. And the pro men started after us. So again, when they hit the track, that was a game changer.
Chaos, because they're absolutely flying.
Yeah. Absolutely flying. Yeah.
So let's talk through these then. So first run, 5:09. You've absolutely flown out the gate, but feeling in control, right? Ski erg.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you got to the ski?
I felt fine at the ski, and I think that time just goes to show, because I left the ski erg at 4:30.
Right.
I was like, so you can still see
on your ski erg 4:30.
4:30, yeah, and I was like, yes. Actually, what went through my head was Bubba's going to be happy. 4:30. So that goes to show just how much time I spent in that transition.
Yeah.
That just goes to show.
Yeah, again, just to clarify. So when you let go of the ski erg handles or place them up so you don't get a penalty, you'll then run out of a little walkway almost to the banner that says ski erg. And that's where your timing chip clocks. So it is, depending on the layout, it's probably another 20 or 30 meters to the ski erg and afterwards that you need to take into this time. So it's not, your ski, like you say, would have been 450. So it took you 40 seconds to run to and away from the ski erg, which adds up, right? When you do that on every station.
Yeah, it would have been 4:30, but also we had to raise our hands for someone to come over, check our ski, and then we could go. So there was like a little bit of time for that.
Yeah, and then did you mess around with the dampener on your ski erg? Because you're allowed to touch it once, aren't you?
Yeah, it was already on 7, so I left it.
Left on that. Cool.
Yeah.
Back out on the run. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. I felt good up until like 40 minutes in.
Nice and confident.
Yeah.
And then the sled push. When you get to the sled push, I get a message from Harriet to say that you've made it to the sled. And at that point, I was waiting for another message to say that you pulled out, or that I got a video, or I would get a video, sorry, and you would be absolutely flying on it. And thankfully, it was the second one, because that sled was absolutely flying.
The first push of it, because it was 4 lengths, the first length was fine, and I thought, oh my god, this is okay. But then I realised I hadn't breathed the whole length, and I was really gassed. And then it got hard. Then the second, third, and fourth lengths, that's when it got.
It's
really
just
hard.
not quick, is it? Like the sled just doesn't move. You've got to kind of. If there's one thing I will remind myself when I do Birmingham in a few weeks, is that when you get to the sled, it is just head down, and just keep moving. It's not going to move quickly. Nothing about it is going to feel powerful or fast. It's just a bit of a grind for 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's literally running through your head. This is so hard, over and over and over again. But what choice do you have? You just have to push it. That's it.
Keep it going. Keep it moving. Back out on the run. We're still feeling strong at this point. We're not quite at 40 minutes yet.
Yeah, fine. Like I felt fine. I felt faster than that. So I'm like obviously disappointed with my running, but yeah, I felt faster on the day.
That one is a bit of an anomaly. That where are we? Oh no, the next one. Sorry. So sled pulling. We did, again, fortunate enough that we've got a rope with the sled, so we had done a bit of practice.
Yeah.
What didn't you realise before you started doing the sled pull on the day, though?
That the box that you pull the sled in is so small. It felt so small because I'd been taking the rope at the gym and running back with it and pulling it that way. But it's a little box and you can't go over it either side. You have to stay in it, otherwise you get a penalty.
So you've got one either end, haven't you? So you've got, I think it's like 1.5 meters or 2 meters that you can move your feet within.
Yeah.
So you can obviously go hand over hand, feed through the rope, keep pulling, or you can literally fix your hands and just walk backwards.
Yeah.
But it's only a little box, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really tiny box. Yeah.
So then you are reliant on big pulls with your arms, basically.
Yeah, it requires a different technique. And I think, again, like you said, what choice have you got? I'm there. I haven't pulled out so far. You just have to keep going. Keep on pulling.
You do. We were, as I said, fortunate we had a sled. Is there anything sled training wise you would have done differently? Because I feel like from the people I've worked with that have done Hyrox in and out of CrossFit Colchester, the sled's probably the biggest differentiator in that not everyone has access to a sled.
Yeah.
When you've got it, we can make use of it. It will make a huge difference on the day. Doesn't sound like you're too overwhelmed when you were there.
No, just more of it, I guess. Like, just do more of it. And also, I think it helped me to do it on a different surface. So I did it somewhere else as well, just so that because you can tell yourself loads of different things, right? You can tell yourself, oh, it'll feel easier on this, or it'll feel harder, but actually it is what it is. So I think if you can push it in one or two different places, then mentally you can push it anywhere.
You're there, right? Yes, play different techniques. You don't know how your legs are going to feel on the day, unless you've done a lot of simulations, but even still. Then the dreaded burpees. Say that, it's a good time.
I mean, shocking. Shocking that it's a good time. They were hard. Hard.
What technique did you go with on the day? Did you step in and out of the burpee?
The majority of them, yeah. I started jumping in and out of them, but they got tiring very quickly.
We always talk about, I was talking about controlling your breathing, always feeling like you're in control in your breathing. Like if you're panting, we're in trouble. So we want to, especially on a movement like a burpee that's very up and down in itself, when you're folding over and having to stand up, it's quite easy to hold your breath when you lay down, hold your breath when you stand up. If you can step in and out of the burpee, or even just find yourself a little rhythm, and one that you can breathe within and sort of feel like you're in control, it will make a massive difference psychologically, especially with a movement where you've got to cover so much distance.
Yeah.
You start panting, you start panicking.
Yeah. And I did some breath work with Hannah Taylor before, specifically on burpees, and that was really helpful. But I think what I did was I looked at the distance and I just thought, right, I'm going to just go for it. So I did 10 first, and I think that was the wrong thing to do, because then I was just without a break, and I think I just completely gassed myself out. And then from
so
that
you did 10 like on the bounce, and then stopped and took a little bit of a breath?
Stopped and died. stopped and was like, what did I just do? And then and very quickly thought I've just got to break it into 5s.
Yeah, and that worked better?
Yeah.
Short and sharp little bursts.
Yeah, and I had Harriet shouting me on as well, and that helped. Helped.
Again, if you're watching a Hyrox on the day, like spectating, being in amongst it and literally next to people is an absolute dream. So if you are supporting, follow them around, give them a shout, because you can literally walk next to them, especially on the burpees and the lunges. That does help loads.
Yeah.
And then the row. So what happened?
So on the safety briefing, they tell you that there's this big screen, and it's really good. It's great. Like, you're running around, you can see your name, you can see where you've got to go to next, how many laps of the run you're on. But they do tell you not to rely on it. So I'd written the stations down my arm. But I think I was feeling so good getting those burpees done. And it said for me to go to station 6, and that's what I did. And I missed the row. And I didn't even realise that I'd missed it. I had no idea. And I thought I had one run left and some wall balls. And then I saw Harriet, and she shouted at me, "Did you row?" And I was like, "No, I didn't row." So I had a bit of a choice to make about whether to not do the row or do it. And I thought, and at this point, because I hadn't properly spoke to Harriet because I was running, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be disqualified. I don't know what happens. So I just thought, I'll just, whatever, I'll go back and do the row. I'm here, like, I'll go back and I'll do it. And I think that was probably one of the most empowering moments of the race.
That must have been tough. Like, you realise you missed a station, and you've got, like you say, not knowing whether you can go back, whether you're going to be disqualified, whether it even matters that you do it. There must have been like so many thoughts at that point going through your head, like, I could just skip it and then, say I made a mistake. But you actually went back. Yeah,
because by the time she told me I missed the row, I'd done the farmer's carry, and I'd done the lunges. And so I just had the wall balls, and I just was like, right, well, who am I right now? Like, what kind of person am I? And I thought, I'm the person that goes back and finishes it. So I thought, even if I get disqualified or whatever, like, at least I've done it. So I went back to the row, and then she shouted at me that was your advice, that you'd said tell her to go back and do the row. So I felt quite good when I was on it, because I felt like that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, that, as I said, that would have been, I think, so easy for you to just chalk it up as a mistake and see the rest of the event off, and not do the row. And I knew you would have felt disappointed afterwards if you hadn't done the whole thing. So I was texting Harriet and saying, like, just get her to go back. Doesn't matter if it's in the wrong order. Like, ultimately, you've done everything right. There'll be a little bit of an advantage doing things in different orders, but at the end of the day, if you do the whole thing, you've done the whole thing, and you've got a benchmark for the doubles in November at that point. And I'm so thankful that you were thinking the same thing and went back and did it, because I feel like you'd be looking back on the race very differently now had you not done that row. So yeah, well done.
Thanks.
That must have been, do you think that's the biggest takeaway from the event?
Yeah. Yeah, I just felt really good at the time I missed that row. I felt I was flying in my mind. I was so happy with what I'd done. So I think if you can do it when you feel good, you can miss something, then you can definitely miss it when you feel bad. So have it written somewhere. Always refer back to it, because I knew that race. I'd watched the safety briefing. I'd watched all the videos. I'd worried myself about it. Like, I knew what I was doing, and I still missed it.
Easily done when you're in the fog of fitness, right? And you're absolutely dying and trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to the wall balls. So probably one of the most humbling experiences, getting to those wall balls, because as a CrossFitter, we do a lot of wall balls, but we very rarely do 100 wall balls at the end of an hour and 20 minutes of a workout. Where was the head at when you were running into those wall balls? What was did you give yourself a bit of a game plan? Were you going to just pick it up and go, or did you set a number?
It was, please let me squat.
Please let me squat. Can my knees bend?
Please let me squat to depth, because anyone who knows me knows I have struggled with my squat. So the thought of doing 75 wall balls to that kind of standards, that was what was worrying me. Am I going to squat low enough? And there's a judge for every person doing the wall balls, and they do tell you. So my first rep was a no rep. Yeah. And then, my first rep was a no rep. And then after that, I just tried to do as many as I could, because we'd practiced it on the program. You'd said, do as many as you can and then stop and take a little break. So we practiced that. So that's what I tried to do. Yeah.
So one of the little tests that we do quite a bit on our Hyrox programs are big sets of wall balls. So trying to just zone out, let go of all expectations, don't put a number in your head, and just see how many you can do. That's, I think, a lot harder to do than setting yourself a set of 10, 20, 30, whatever that number might be. Because when you get there on the day, you don't know how it's going to feel. Yeah. And you can run as many simulations as you want, but knowing exactly what you're going to be capable of when you pick that ball up is really, really difficult. So if you've had in your head a set of 30, for example, and you manage 5, your reaction is going to be very different than if you went in with a free head, just went purely on feeling and tackled them kind of as they come.
Yeah.
And it seemed to work, right? Because you've managed to chip through them in 5 minutes, pretty much dead on.
Yeah. And I think you'd said to me, it doesn't matter, just get them done. And so that's what I try. That's what I tried to remind myself. Oh, it doesn't matter that this set was 5, or it doesn't matter that the set before was 10. Just keep on chipping away. Just keep going. And
you did. You finished 75. Arms went up. How epic is that finish line?
Well, I was worrying because I thought, have I been disqualified? So it was, I wasn't elated because I was panicking. But afterwards, I got my little badge.
There it is.
Cool. That was the good bit, like getting the badge. And yeah, then I sort of thought, okay, it's okay then. I've done okay.
Did a little bit better than okay. You did get a little, was it 3 minutes, I think?
Yeah, what was it?
A penalty.
Yeah.
But obviously you went back. So ultimately it doesn't really matter. We'll scratch the 3 minutes off the time.
Thanks.
But mate, what an experience to fly out to a different country, do an event that was absolutely petrifying you 3 months ago.
Yeah. If I can do it, anyone can do it. That is the truth of it. Literally anyone can do it. So many different people are there. So many different people are competing. Like everyone's really nice. It's really inclusive. There's nothing to be scared of. Like when you break it down, you're just really scared of yourself. That's all you're scared of, I think.
Go on.
Huh?
Really scared, as in you set yourself expectations, worried about if you're going to make them or not.
Yeah. But that's on you, isn't it? Like that's on your own self.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because ultimately everyone's just super happy and proud that you managed to get through the event. And whether you did it in 55 minutes and set a world record, or you did it in 2 hours, it's a pretty hefty event. And people will be as proud of you regardless of your time. It's the effort, the commitment in the training. Everyone saw that happen over the last few months. All the times you dragged out that bloody roll of turf and sled. They're the big wins, right? It's not the finish line's obviously awesome. The cool badge is pretty epic.
Yeah.
But it's that lead up time, the grind that you put in to get to the start line that really is the big takeaway.
Yeah, and the conversation as well, like saying to you, "Oh my God, today I did this and it was really terrible," and laughing about it, and then training with Hannah and like something will happen, like one of us will fall off the ski or something. Like those moments, like they're the moments, aren't they? Like because it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. That it's that big lead up that you'll remember, I think, way more than the middle of the race. You remember the finish line, you remember how you felt, probably remember how hard it was. But like you say, it's the stories from the training and the times that you didn't feel like doing it and did it anyway, or the times where you just give yourself a bit of extra rest because you needed it and then came back the next day and absolutely smashed it. They're the ones that kind of stick.
Yeah.
A few little quick fire questions to finish up then. So anything that you would have done differently before the event? Anything you would have prepped differently? Anything you would have taken with you?
No.
All good?
All good.
Anything during the event? Anything you wish you'd tackled a little bit differently, paced differently?
Yeah, I would send it on the runs more. And I know now that it's like half a physical game, half a mind game. And that, like, now I know that. So I'm not going to be scared of that.
And not being scared of it is very important because you're heading to London in November for the pairs with Hannah.
Yeah.
What was your conversation like with Hannah? What have you told her you need to do, not do?
We're just going to try. We're just going to try and have fun. And we're going to do our best. And we're going to work smart.
I have no doubt with Hannah around that you will have fun. That's for sure.
But yeah, we're gonna work smart, I think.
As in working as a team smartly.
Yeah.
Have a little strategy in place for the stations and stuff.
Yeah.
Good. Well, mate, that has been absolutely awesome. I'm very conscious that we've been talking for nearly an hour and 10 minutes now, and I said we'd be 20 minutes. So, as always, trying to do too much in too little time. But yeah, I think that was really nice just to talk through it all. I think we obviously tried not to talk in the gym earlier so that we could talk properly on here. I could hear it all for the first time. But you should be super proud. Super proud. One, for doing it, but I think more so just for the fact that you just dedicated yourself to something that scared the crap out of you for a few months. And managed to pull it off as well in Madrid, flying out on your own.
Well, I had Harriet and I had all of you guys, didn't I? I wasn't on my own. Like, I had help from you, I had help from Han, had help from Sam, like I had help from Bubba, loads of people that actually cared. So I didn't do it on my own. But honestly, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Anyone.
And that is a very good message to finish on. I'm going to say thank you very much, Ita.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for watching, all your great questions. Look at these.
Okay.
Thank you very much, mate. I will see you in the gym very soon.
Okay, see you later. Thank you.
We'll be back next week on this channel with a chat with Shane before Spartan Beast, which is coming up next weekend. Tune in.
Good luck. See you later.